Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Thanks so much for being early. Thanks so much for getting up early. I'm in the Mountain Time Zone, 8 a.m. here. Robin just logged in and she's in Oregon, so she's here at 7 a.m. It is great to see everybody. We've got some people here who are already part of the track training system course. It's great to see them. I think most people are thinking, man, I wonder what he's doing with this, and I'm just curious about this course, so we're going to go into that. First thing, this will be recorded, and if you're on this and you have access to it, you will get the recording. God willing, today is Saturday, and you'll have it Sunday. Okay, so if you have to log off at some point, that's absolutely fine. I think two important things. Number one, I'm going to provide a lot of value, and I'm going to be teaching in the same way I would teach in this course. And I basically view this as a mini coaching clinic presentation. Fast forward to the end of this, I'm going to explain how you'll get the videos from the 2020 Boulder running clinics, which we're really fired up about. You'll get those videos for free if you join the track training system course. But I'm just sharing that to say I take it very seriously, this opportunity to educate coaches, right? If I'm able to help 10 coaches and 10 coaches each have 20 kids, that's 200 kids. And I feel absolutely blessed to be in that spot. One thing I'm going to say, there's a lot going on this side, which is great. There's slides I need to share. I need to share what the track training system is in terms of what it would look like for you on your computer or on your tablet or on your phone. We need to go through some training plans, and I've definitely got the comments in here too. Okay. So I'm not going to be paying attention to the comments during the presentation, except for a couple times when I say, hey, let's take some questions. Okay. So I just want to ask for a little bit of grace there in terms of you may be having to retype your question at some point. Okay. So, yeah, but we will do this at the beginning. Sean, it's great to see you from South Carolina. Jim, it's great to see you from Arkansas. We've got two great coaches from California as well. So this is going to be great. All right, let's hop right into it. Track training system, and we're going to start with this question, and we're going to go into this mode. If the state track meet started today, what would one of your best athletes have to do to have qualified in the 1600 meters? That's how I want to frame this, is if you have a really good kid, what would they have had to have run in the month of April, or in the month of May, how fast do they have to run at a regional meet or a sectional meet to advance to state? Okay, so that's number one. Why don't we take it one level deeper? What would they have to run in the last 100 meters, the last 300 meters, the last 500 meters in that race? So we often say, hey, I've got a young woman and she's got to run 5:20, or she's got to run 5:12, or she's got to run 5:30. But we need to be honest about, in a 5:20 race, what's her last 500 going to be? Is she going to be speeding up there? In the last 300, is she going to be speeding up? And the answer is absolutely yes. And should she have a great last 100? And the answer to that is yes, too. And then at the state meet, they're going to have to do something similar to earn all state honors. Now, I want to be very clear about something, which is I know that not everybody is going to have an athlete who can earn all state honors. But what we're going to talk about today, what I want to talk about is an athlete who could be at that level. And then we can dial things back from there. If you've got a younger athlete, a sophomore who's going to run at your league championships, things like that, this training will still work for them too. All right, so the last 100 meters in late May is where we're going to start today, right? We're starting at the end of the season. That's where we're going to start. And for some of you, I know we've got coaches in California that they've got about 23 weeks till their state meet. Coaches in Colorado have about 21. So it's a long ways from today, but that's what I want you to think about. Now, I want to be honest about something. We are chasing optimal. You can never know for sure if your training is the best way to train. And we're going to go back and forth sometimes, because sometimes I need to look at the camera to make the point. You can't tell me, we'll go to the next slide here. You can't tell me that you can't tell me that some sort of threshold run on a treadmill where people are taking blood draws, where people are measuring lactate, and it's this very controlled environment. I'm not convinced that you can tell me that that is absolutely a better workout than a mature athlete doing a progression run that's controlled, that's maybe a little bit longer, that is a challenging aerobic workout. Okay. So often we have to be honest about the fact that it's much harder to run a study in a lab about a long run, whether it's a high school kid running 75 minutes or 90 minutes, or an elite marathoner running 2 hours or more than 2 hours, right? So we are chasing optimal, right? And I'm going to talk about a workout in here, a progression run. And what I'm highlighting here is if you do a 30-minute progression run where you go 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, I can't prove to you that that's the optimal workout for every kid in America to build their aerobic system. But, and I'm specifically going to pick on the threshold workout because I think it's hard to teach kids to do that workout, even though some people would say, well, the optimal workout for a high school athlete is to do lots of threshold runs and to do speed development and da 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 da. We are definitely chasing optimal. Okay. I'm thinking about Coach McGillis in Portland, and I'm thinking about Coach Wilson in South Carolina, and they're in two different climates, right? And optimal is going to look a lot different for Coach Wilson when I'm going to fast forward to cross country for a moment. When he's in the middle of July and he's trying to develop the aerobic metabolism, he might take, he might look at my training and say, we're going to do aerobic repeats because we can't do a challenging aerobic run that's chopped into pieces because we can't do a threshold run or a longer progression run that's 30, 40 minutes long. Okay. So bottom line is I'm trying to help you. I'm writing and I'm going to share with you what I think is the optimal training to help your high school kids. But I want us to acknowledge that we will never know what optimal training is. And here's one final thing. Folks, I mean, I've coached some good runners. This guy, Brent Vaughn here, won the U.S. cross country championship, right? He was a professional runner, ran for Nike, we had to get pretty specific about things to help him win a national title in cross country. And I'm not trying to take anything away from what you do as a high school coach, but to get like my daughter's in 7th grade right now. If you coached her in 2 years as a high school freshman, to get her to run a little bit faster from her freshman year to her sophomore year, we don't have to have a level of sophistication that's out of this world. We definitely don't have to be doing blood draws. We definitely don't have to be doing functional strength specific to her because her left hamstring is a little bit tight, right? Although we will look at movement later on in there. Okay, and I'm getting used to this system. So now we're going to go back to this big slide thing because these are important. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover 3 big things, and then we're going to talk about some mistakes that you need to avoid to have a great track season. So we're going to talk about a single training session, how to organize the training session. Then we're going to talk about what one workout would be, right? I guess technically we're going to talk about 2 workouts, but one track workout in particular. And then I'm going to show you how we organize a training week. That's at the point where then we start to go into what is the track training system. This slide, if you're not interested in the track training system, you're going to get value out of these 4 points. But towards the end of this is when we go into, hey, what is this track training system and how can it help me? All right. So let's be honest about what the value of the track training system is. You're going to get well-designed workouts that will lead kids to running PRs in April and May. This is what you expect, and this is what you'll get. I mean, if you're going to be part of this, you want your kids running PRs in April, running PRs in May in the championship season. But I think the real value is not me sending you and granted, I mean, I'm somebody who geeks out on training. I'm going to send you this cool color-coded schedule of 20 or 21 or 24 weeks of training. And that's going to be fun for you to both implement, but also just, if you're up this morning and doing this, you are fired up about learning more about training, you will absolutely love that. But I think the real, I shouldn't say I think, I know the real value is that here we are in the middle of December. Let's just look at the middle of every month, middle of January, middle of February, middle of March, April, May. We will do webinars every month. And what's going to happen in those webinars, and I will also be posting videos as well, is the back and forth. Okay. So I'm giving you a training plan. And if you join me today, you're going to have access to it today, and you can study it. You can look at all of Jeff Belay's videos. You can look at all of the post-run work, but it's that back and forth. It's that communication. How should we write things? We should write our training in pencil. We should write training in pencil. I actually didn't do that for a long time in my coaching, but you know, you're going to get training plans that yes, they look great. Yes, they're color coded. Yes, it's going to make sense in terms of how we move through things. But hey, you're going to have a snowstorm in February, and you're supposed to do some aerobic repeats, and then 48 hours later, you were hopefully going to spike up, or you were going to do some reps in their normal training shoes, and then halfway through it, change into spikes. All of those things are the adjustments that we will make throughout the program. So that's going to be the real value of the program, is how we do this back and forth with communication during the year. And the last point is we'll fix and adjust things as we go, which is more important than workouts and training schedules. Okay. So basically changing things, you can argue, is the most powerful part of this program. All right. Now we're getting into training. We do not train through meets. And if you don't believe in global warming, maybe I'm not the coach for you. I think our weather is much different now than when I was in high school in the 90s and when I was in college in the 90s, and things are really unpredictable. So what's going to happen is your kids, there are meets on your schedule that you will not be able to run, or there's meets on your schedule that you'll be able to have the meet, but the weather is going to be such that your 520 girl, I mean, it's a gale force wind and rain's coming down and whatnot, and she's going to be able to run. But if she's in 520 shape, she's going to run 530 that day. Should she race? Yes, she should race. She should race as hard as she can for 1,600 meters. This is a little bit of a tangent, but it's really important. The most specific training stimulus we have is that race, right? So I'm not saying cut out that race, but what I'm saying for you is when you look at the training, and when you look at these training plans I'm going to share, we are not training through races, because I think in this meet schedule I'm going to share, and it's the same meet schedule in the state of Colorado, a little fast forward to the Boulder Running Clinics, that Jonathan Dalby used for some of his best 1,600 meter runners, kids that made it to state. We're not going to run every meet, but the meets we are going to run, we're going to be rested, our legs are going to be fresh, and we're going to try and run fast. Now, I've laid all that out in a document, and what's going to happen is one of those meets, I mean, we have these random snowstorms. We've had like hardly any snow up to this point in the year, but there's no doubt that in the month of April, if it's not snow, it'll be some sort of sleet type thing. And it's going to be, it'll be something that prevents kids from racing fast. All right. So here's what we want to do is we can do workouts to get a hard stimulus, and we can even do time trials and inter squad relays. And also mentally, we want them to say, when I put on my uniform, I run fast. Okay. This also alludes to the fact that my hard days are really hard, and then the easy days are pretty easy. If you've read Consistency is Key, you know that that's something I believe in, and my experience shows that approach works. Okay, and following along with Consistency is Key, we're going to use the car metaphor. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but we're going to talk about the long runs. These are just some things, and you can refer to this. You can take a note or two now. This is in Consistency is Key. your long run is going to be more than 20% of your weekly volume for most kids. And just let's do the real simple math. If you have a kid running 40 miles a week and you're saying, well, 20% is 8 miles, they can run a 9-mile run. Your 50-mile-a-week kid, can they safely run an 11-mile run or even a 12-mile run? Yes. 20% of 50 miles a week is a 10-mile run. So this is not rocket science here. Where people screw things up, and I've seen really good coaches with really good kids screw this up. You keep the long run in too long in the track season. Hey, I'm a 48. I believe kids can train 48 weeks per year. And I believe in most of those weeks, or a lot of those weeks, we're going to do a long run. This is the Arthur Lydiard training schedules. Johnson is not me. This is my father. This documents, this little booklet's like from the 1960s. We got running the Lydiard way. Next to it is running with the Buffaloes. I believe I'm a long run guy. I'm a Lydiard guy to an extent. I believe that the long run is powerful. But this is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is that, in the last 3 or 4 weeks of the championship season, we're running a hard long run. No, that's insane. That's a bad idea. Kids aren't going to race to their potential if you do that. We will get into that in a moment. I hope you're as fired up as I am to be talking track in the middle of December, because this is when track PRs start. Okay, fartlek runs. We're not going to go into them today, but the bottom line is they're underutilized by coaches. It's the basic workout to teach your kids to learn to run by feel. Progressions and runs. We're going to go into those in a moment, but here's the bottom line. They are fun. Kids love progression runs. There's a chance with fired up kids, and especially fit fired up kids, can turn those into a race. We don't want that to happen. But this idea of, we're going 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes for a 25-minute progression run, kids are absolutely going to have fun with that. And threshold runs, they are harder to teach than you might think. There are some coaches on here who there is no doubt that with their athletes, they can teach those workouts, but there is a progression of the workouts, and the progression is long runs to fartlek runs to progression runs. Then I don't have this in the books. I think aerobic repeats come before threshold runs. But I talk about threshold runs because there's so much good science around it. And yes, you can be doing threshold runs. And honestly, inconsistency is key. I don't want every kid who reads the book and he's doing a threshold run every 10 to 14 days to think, oh my God, I'm training the wrong way, right? But the bottom line is I'm taking this from John Sipple, the boys coach at Downers Grove North in Illinois. He's a coach. His boys have been 4th at NXN. And he says threshold runs are hard to teach high school kids. If he's that successful and he says it's hard to teach kids, I would like to introduce that concept to you, that maybe we go back and focus on progression runs. Okay. Bottom line too with threshold runs, when I say under assigned pace, I just mean, whether it's that you think a kid can run 5:30 pace or 7:15 pace, I would under assign it a little bit. So slow it down, right? I mean, we want that threshold run very controlled. And I'm sure people would say, wait, you got to get right on your aerobic threshold. And that's why we are going to take a blood draw and look at lactate. That's not what we're going to do. Okay. So, skipped ahead here. Now we get to talk about fun stuff. Let's talk about some workouts. A progression run. These are very simple. So this is, and I screwed that first one up. That should be 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. It says 10, 5, 5. Well, a 15-minute progression run, you just have a kid do 3 chunks of 5 minutes. Then the 20-minute progression run, you'd have a run 10 minutes. And if you're wondering at what pace, that's a steadier pace, something faster than their easy run pace. But that is not a pace. I mean, they have to speed up 2 more times, right? So you want to coach kids to say, with that first 10-minute segment on the 20-minute progression run, we're very conservative. We speed up for 5 minutes, and then we've got to speed up for that last 5 minutes. So we're changing gears twice. I don't know if we should say changing gears. Changing gears is more of a track thing when we're running fast. This is just slowly, the term I like to use, we're squeezing things down. We're squeezing down the pace. And then I really like this 25-minute progression run for a lot of kids. This would be too hard for your brand new kids, but I think too often with the kid who can run 90-minute long runs and even 75-minute long runs, that kid, sometimes we think, well, if we're doing a challenging aerobic workout, we need a 40-minute stimulus. This workout right here, 25 minutes, 10 minutes, 5, 5, 5 is a very challenging run. I think these are great for younger athletes, older athletes, and I won't go into too much detail here. This is the type of thing where when you join the track training system course, you know, there is a module on progression runs, right? And there's a longer one where I explain this progression of workouts. This is a little aside too. When you go to coachjjohnson.com now and you share your email address, or if you're on my email list, you should have gotten the link to this. I've got a long document called the 4 key workouts every runner should do. This is explained in there in detail. Is this a simple workout? Yes. Is it easy? No. And if you're familiar with what I do, you know that my favorite quote as it relates to running and coaching is simple and easy. All right. So here's something to look at. These orange portions, and yes, I fixed the 15-minute one here. So when you have a brand new kid and they're doing a 15-minute progression run, it's definitely that last section that's the crux of that workout for that kid. But when you move a kid up to a 20-minute progression run, I think it's that second pace where now they've run 10 minutes steady and they're running 5 minutes and they're running faster. And then in their mind, think, they're at the 13th minute of the workout and they're like, wait, I got to hold on to this pace for 2 more minutes. And then I got to speed up and maintain that for 5 minutes. Take that same mentality into the 25-minute progression run. This is where these workouts are, yes, they're very simple, but from a mental standpoint, it's so great to have a kid change pace. So they run 10 minutes, then they speed up for 5. Now they're speeding up again for 5, but in their mind, they think, wait, I've got to run this pace for 5 minutes. They are 10 minutes out from the end of the workout. Got to run this pace for 5 minutes. And then I still have to speed up after that. These are great workouts to teach a kid to run by feel. Now, granted, the long run taught him to run by feel. Then we did fartlek workouts. That helps them to learn this even more. Once you're assigning progression runs, they should, and I will show you this when I show you the training calendar. We do a fartlek, then we do a progression run. We do a fartlek, then we do a progression run. This second progression run, I wouldn't say they have it completely dialed in, but they shouldn't blow that up. I don't mind if they blow up fartleks. And you might say, why is that good to blow up a workout? Because running by feel is a skill. If these kids were good at running by feel, you could, if they walked into your program and they could just run by feel, you could assign threshold runs right away. And that is not what you can do. Okay. All right. This is fun. My brain does go down here for a moment. We got Big Bear, California. We got New Hampshire. We got Michael from Breckenridge, Indiana, East Texas, Iowa, Philly in the house. Yeah, if I knew how to do webinars better, I would have prompted everybody to say that stuff. All right, here's 3 more progression runs. A 30-minute one, man, if you're running 10 minutes and then now you get a 10-minute chunk, that's really hard. And then you got to go 5 more minutes. What I want you to see is, you know, we always think, and when we get to the track workouts, the last part is the hardest part. But I think when we're doing these challenging aerobic workouts, we want to get kids to realize, like, man, I've got to speed up at the end of this. And man, it's those middle chunks where I'm speeding up and that workout is still long. That 40-minute progression run is something I've done with a lot of adults, a lot of marathoners. This summer working with kids, none of the kids, maybe some of them got to that, but that's, I mean, a 40-minute, here's what I would like to encourage you to think about. Look at that 30-minute progression run and how simple it is on a piece of paper, or when you text it to a kid, or when you put it on Final Search. 10, 10, 5, 5. Very simple. And then you got to speed up 3 times, right? You're at 10, speed up, speed up, speed up. That's a very simple workout. I would argue this. If a kid is running hard for 30 minutes, running controlled, not letting the progression run turn into a race, but if they're running hard for 30 minutes, that kid's going to make a jump in fitness. You're going to build their aerobic engine. And if you told me, hey, you know, I don't know about that 30-minute run, I think we definitely need to do 40. You can get a lot done in 30 minutes. And as we'll talk about next, you can go into your post-run work. Oh my gosh, Hopkins, Minnesota is on here, and Ohio, Nevada, and North Dakota. My dad was born in North Dakota. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to change the screen here because these are going to get dense a little bit. Okay. All right. Now we're going to actually look at a workout that includes a progression run. Jeff Boulay's warm-up. You have it for free. You have access to that for free. CoachJayJohnson.com. That thing is money. I've been doing it lately, and I feel better when I do my run, and it's actually pretty amazing that a middle-aged man can get better at it. So, and then I will share this too. Jeff Boulay. I mean, I'm so fortunate that I live close enough to Jeff Boulay that I hired him for a few weeks to work with my daughters. Man, to watch him take an athlete through that warm-up is beautiful. But I will say this, it's almost as good on video. He explains what cues you're supposed to be looking for. He looks at two different athletes and explains that sometimes one athlete needs to improve in a certain way. Other times their movement looks different. That's one thing that I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to talk about it at my presentation at the Boulder Running Clinics, that we have to learn to see movement. None of us are at the Jeff Boulay level of seeing movement, but we all should be. We should be pushing ourselves to be able to see somebody walk down the street and see an asymmetry in their hips. That doesn't mean that we know, wait, left hamstring or right calf is the problem. And that's what's crazy about some of these people. They can actually do that. But we need to be able to see asymmetries with adults. And then when we go back to high school kids on the track, it should be a little easier to see those. But bottom line is, if we go to this workout, we've got a 13-minute warm up. Then this is how I start runs like a progression run. Yes, we're going to run eight minutes easy, but then the next 7 minutes we're going to run 3 by 20-second strides at 5K rhythm, because we've got to get their legs going. And then boom, we're going to hit that 25-minute progression run, 10, 5, 5, 5, and then. You know, I understand kids need to run easy. I mean, when I was coaching adult runners, we'd go straight from this progression run. It might only take a minute or two, and we'd go to the track and start running faster. But we're going to give these kids 5 minutes. So what we've done for a total run time is we had 15 minutes for essentially our warm-up, the 8 and the 7. Now we had 25 minutes. That got us to 40. Now we're adding an easy 5. We got a 45-minute total run time. And then what we're going to do is now we're going to spike up, and that takes 2 minutes. And this is why I made the math easy for me. If Jeff's warm-up was 13 minutes and we got 2 minutes, now it's going to make our math easy by the end of the day. And then I'm saying it's going to take 15 minutes to do the, quote, progression of strides that they're on. So this is a document that everybody has access to. And there's a progression of strides now that takes kids up to 1,600 meter pace and 800 meter pace. And early in January, I'll have the next one that takes kids up to, it'll take them up to goal 400 meter pace, and even running, you know, for a 1,600 meter runner, running decent 200 meter pace. So now we're at 60 minutes of running, 75 minutes total. And we're not jogging. We finished those strides, and now we're going straight into 20 minutes of post-run work. So that's 95 minutes of activity, and then 10 minutes of social time. Now, I think they should be doing some soft tissue work with the lacrosse ball, or not. Maybe it's just a great time for them to be social. And this is a great time for you to go around and talk to them about how the day went. All right. So this is what it looks like. We've got the warm up. We've got the 15 minutes. We've got the run. We've got 5 minutes. We're spiking up. Then we run for 15 minutes. We're not jogging. 20 minutes of post-run work. And if you're saying, what are you doing, Jay, for the post-run work? We will get into that. I'll show you those documents. 10 minutes of social time. And that's how we got to our 105-minute practice session. This is a little bit of a teaser for wanting you to come to the Boulder Running Clinics, because this is a slide from my presentation at the Boulder Running Clinics, which is this: what can you see? There are points in here where you're not going to see them. You're not going to see them on the progression run. I mean, unless you're doing it at the track or some really tight loop that's like 800 meters. but you can see them do the warm-up. You can see if they look funky doing the warm-up. You can see them doing all the post-run work. And one of the things I'm going to talk about the Boulder Running Clinics, and then I'll just leave it here for a moment, you should be looking at the nonverbal cues in the stretching circle at the end. And this does relate to the track training system, okay? When a coach comes to me in, we'll say early March, late February, early March, and say, man, Johnny, or, so-and-so was just working so hard this winter, but I see them after practice and they don't look good. They look really tired. Those are the types of things that we need to pay attention to, that we need to really be in tune with, because this is an athlete where if you can fix that in early March, lower volume, lower intensity, as my college coach, Coach Whatmore, would say, send them out to pasture. Okay, that's not what his voice sounds like, but the idea of sending them out to pasture is just doing easy aerobic runs and strides. Honestly, a high school kid, this is one of the beautiful things about high school kids. They can handle a lot of hard workouts, races and workouts, and they also recover really quickly. So if they start to dig a hole, or you honestly kind of screw up the training and it's too dense and there's too much intensity and there's too much volume, just give them 3-4 days of easy running and strides and they will pop out of that. Okay, so we're coming up to a little time. These are the things that we're covering today, training sessions. Man, I think we're covering a lot of good stuff, but I'm going to need to speed this up a little bit. And so I'm going to go through workouts, a key workout a little bit faster, and then we'll take some questions, and then we'll talk about the training week. Okay. All right, workouts. Inconsistency is key. I talk about a girl who's run 5:20 and wants to run 5:14 the next year. And when I refer to stuff like this, I talk about how to make a jump. So the workout we're going to talk about is 300s at race pace with a 200 float. This is a key workout in the track training system. I'm going to go quick here. You're going to be fine. You can watch the replay of this. Here's the bottom line. You do this workout early on. And I say the first official week of practice, it's hard to execute this workout correctly on their own. Athletes who if you do the track training system, we're actually going to do this a little bit earlier. But it's definitely a challenging workout. They're going to get, if you think about, they're going to do 2 sets of 5x300 with a 200 float. So 5x300 is 1,500 meters. If we do 2 sets, that's 3,000 meters. So almost double the amount of volume they'll race at is how much running they'll do at race pace. One of the things I like about this workout is it's really easy to be mindful of shoes. You can do the first set in training flats and then do spikes. We talk about the progression of footwear in the progression of strides. And here's the bottom line. It's the float. That's the key to this. Okay, here's 4 different chapters from Consistency is Key. Run by feel, practice race pace or faster. Know that you could have gone farther or faster or both. Prepare for running fast, faster, fastest. All 4 of those apply to this workout. I'm going to show you how. First one is running by feel. They'll have to run the 200 float by feel to hit goal pace on the 300 segment, okay? So the 300, this is a key point. I don't know if you guys like it this way, but I feel like I can't connect with you unless I see you to make these points. You got to run the 300s at pace. If you're looking at this workout saying, hey, this is going to be a hard workout, and we usually don't do floats, and we really got to knock things out on the float, yes, that's absolutely true. If we go back to our progression of workouts, on a fartlek workout, I want to teach kids, hey, if we're doing a 2-3 fartlek where we're doing 2 minutes on, 3 minutes steady, yes, early in the season, and these are the workouts we'll basically do in the months of December and January, we want that 3 minutes steady to be the focus. But when we move into track, the 300 has to be at race pace. And that's actually the next slide. But we have to neuromuscularly, from a neuromuscular standpoint, you've got to be running race pace in strides next week. Okay. And I've got a progression of strides, and you can do that. And then at the end of January, beginning of February, you've got to be doing repeats at goal pace. And we're not going to cover it today, but I cover it in the course. I think date pace for the most part is a bad idea. And we're going to focus on goal pace, and I'll explain why that works. Okay. But if you're looking at this saying, I don't understand why we're highlighting the 300 and not the 200. The 200 is a great way to get fit, and it is for an older athlete. Kind of I wouldn't say it's the most important part of this workout, but it's the indicator. Wow, this athlete is really getting fit because they can make those floats fast. Okay, but here's the bottom line is that we're going to make sure the athlete who can run 5:14 in these 300s is running the rhythm of 5:12. So we're running race pace or faster, right? And if you said, hey, she was averaging, 5:07, 5:08 rhythm. And I think it's important to use the term rhythm and pace. I mean, there's times where where one is better than the other, but let's think about this in terms of rhythm. We don't want to be anal about her hitting exactly 5:12 pace. We just want her comfortably running 300s that are in the vicinity of a nice PR. Okay. Know that you could have gone farther or faster, both. This one's tricky for a kid. Should they be able to say this at the end of the workout? Yes. You need to be able to say this after the first set. So we're doing 5x300 with a 200 float. But I think it's fine if they're running the last 300 really hard on the last set and they're like, I'm cooked. I'm done. I didn't have anything left in the tank after that. I think that's an absolute win for the day. And then, like I said earlier in the presentation, I very much believe in really hard days. So after 5 or 10 minutes of rest, you'd finish with fast running, might be some 120s at 800 meter pace, might be some 150s in and outs or the middle 50s at 400 meter pace. There's an outside chance you just shut the workout down for the day if the last 300 was awesome. And I'll get to that in a moment. Okay, this point is crucial. Run fast, faster, fastest. They're doing 5x300. So if we think of that, we want the third and the fourth rep, we want them speeding up. Just like with the progression run, they will likely run fast on that last 300, but we want them to learn to change gears. So if you're saying, wait, if we're dialing in goal pace, how would they run faster? Now we're looking at the second set, and the idea being, if they can change gears, that's great. If you're saying, well, if one or two, if the first two reps were a little slower than goal pace, is that okay? Yes. Okay. But they should be able to speed up within the third and fourth rep if that's what they want to that day. And you might run these 300 meter reps where you do 100 at goal pace, 100 faster, 100 almost all out. And if you do that, that's a really hard day. That type of stuff is more, I don't want to say it's like PhD level, 300, 200 float, but kids aren't going to be able to do that the first time out. Okay, yeah, we're going to skip that slide. All right. All right. So 300s at race pace with a 200 meter float session for an upperclassman. They're going to do Jeff Bollet's warm up. This is the first thing you do. You don't go out for a jog for 15 minutes and come back for strides to start. So that thing is dead. And Jeff talks about it in his warm up. Then we're going to do 3 or 4 laps of 150 in and out. And so you can stand on the backstretch and time a few of these. I always like doing that. You can put hurdles out so that you can see basically their hips past the you don't put hurdles in the track. You don't put hurdles in the track. They're running in lane 1 or 2. You're on the backstretch. You set up a hurdle at the 100-meter start in the infield on the turf. And then you measure it out, because the most important tool you've invested in is your measuring wheel. And you measure out 50 meters and you have that hurdle in the middle of the track, and you know where it is. There may or may not have been some painted dots every 10 meters on the inside concrete at Fairview High School 10 years ago. And if you know where that 50 meters is, you put that other hurdle there, you're standing on the backstretch and you are timing some of those 50s. So 150 into it, 50 meters at the rhythm you want, 50 meters to run out of that. What's nice about this, and this kind of relates to seeing movement, is over time, you won't do it with a freshman and it'll be hard with a sophomore, but with your juniors and seniors, on a day when they don't look good, on a day when they're, quote, flat and not poppy, that's when you shut it down. You don't try and do this workout. And your kids, all the way going back to January and February, have to know part of our program is when I don't look good and the coach says, we're just doing an easy run. We're scrapping the workout, easy run and strides, enjoy your day, have some fun, come back to the track, spike up. We'll run some 120s fast and we're calling it a day. If you do that a couple times during the year, and I will help you figure out how you can see those things, that is going to lead to PRs. It's this, it seems like it would be the other way. Oh, we have to train hard to run PRs. No, one of the biggest things we're going to do in this program is I'm going to teach you how to subtract. Good coaches, fired up coaches, especially younger coaches, always want to put more training in. We want to do more. You know, if we can handle more, we can race faster. No, so often it's, I'm giving you a training plan. When do we take things out or when do we water things down? Okay. But this is an opportunity to see how the kids look. So if the third one doesn't look good, I'd give them 3 minutes to walk and jog, give them one more shot. I put 2 workouts in here. We're not going to go into them. You could give them 3, 2, 1. Then the other thing after the 150s, I want 4 by 100 to really groove race pace. Okay. So what I want these athletes doing is I want them running 100 meters at the pace they're going to run for 300 meters. I want them to groove that. And this is, 100 on the straight, really slow jog, 100 on the curve, maybe jog a 200. I mean, this is just playful stuff. And again, your older kids, they can time this. So that girl who's got to run 5:12 rhythm, I should have done the math prior to this presentation, but she'll know what 100 meters is to the point, right? So if it's supposed to be something 0.5, if she's 0.2, if she's 0.7, all that's fine. But the idea is let kids really groove the race pace. And if you're saying, wait, why don't we use the first few reps in the workout to get into race pace? We don't do this workout very often. And when we do it, we're going to hit it. We want them to do an amazing job on this workout. Okay. This workout has a predictive quality and we want to take advantage of that. David, 19 seconds. David, it's good to see you, man. David could do this webinar too. David could definitely do like the history of running. He's been around the sport a long time. Okay, so let's keep going. Early in the season, they can run the first set in flats, but later in the season, we're in spikes. And then the first 2 times, we just want them to execute the goal 300 pace with a decent float. Here's the deal. If they have to slow down the float to hit the race pace on the 300, that's fine. The point of the workout, and I made this point earlier, is the 300 meters has to be at race pace or faster. And the secondary part of this workout is that float. So you're going to start at the 200 meter start line. If you want to finish their 4:300 at the finish line. Yeah. And we're not doing 5 by 300. We're doing 4 by 300 with a 200 float. So you just got to trust me on that one. If you start there, then they're going to finish at the finish line. And then we're going a little quicker through here. To be absolutely clear, this is something I don't go through quickly in the track training system. So there's only a handful of key workouts. They have their own video module. And then beneath it, people can ask comments. Well, I shouldn't say ask comments. They can ask questions or make comments. And then there's going to be times where, there's such a powerful question there that I make another video and put that in the same category. And you will see how this is organized shortly. So, and I'm actually going to, this webinar is great and it's going a little slower than I wanted. I think the best thing to do is to leave here. This is the type of workout we're going to be doing during the track season. And if you're here, you're saying, I'm not really interested in the track training system, but I do want workouts that are going to help my 1600 meter runners run faster this spring. I want to leave you with this. If you have a girl and there's no doubt based on her cross country time, she can run 5:20. We know that is 80 seconds per 400, right? 80 seconds per 400, 40 seconds per 200, 20 seconds per 100. I loved what David said. If we look at 19 seconds, and let's just do the math really quick. If we have 16 by 100 meters, and we're going from 20-second rhythm to 19. Now we've decreased it by 16 seconds, right? Her running 5:04 pace. Is she going to go from 5:20 to 5:04 in a year? Probably not. But you want hundreds at 19 now. You want hundreds at 19 now. And if you're not going to, I mean, it's Saturday prior to a holiday break. I don't know about you. My kids aren't in school. Not only are they not in school for 2 weeks, they don't have school on Monday, I think, following the break, and Tuesday. It's crazy. But at some point in January, you're going to see your kids. And I'm not saying they're ready to run, this girl's ready to run 5:12 or 5:14 for a mile then, but her legs have to be moving at 5:04 pace. What can this girl run for an 800? Maybe she's more like a 2:18 runner. Let's say she's somebody who's strong in the 800. She could run 2:16. Let's break those numbers down. It's 68 seconds. It's 34 seconds, and now it's 17 seconds per 100. And I would challenge you to do this. This young woman who's going to run 5:12 should be doing hundreds at 19 all the time, or 150s or 200s, running that rhythm. And she's got to be doing some hundreds at 17 seconds, 17:0 sooner rather than later. Okay. So why don't we kind of wrap up this part with, there's a sprint coach, Vince Anderson, and I can't find this podcast episode anymore, but it was with the Canadian version of USATF's education. So it was with the Canadian Athletics Association, and they had this great coaching ed podcast. And he talked about sprinters and coaches looking at sprinters and saying they're always behind, right? And the idea is that we're always chasing speed. And I want to challenge you to have that same mindset, that we're always trying to get faster and that we're always changing. What can a miler, a boy or a girl who's a sophomore or junior, who's really serious, bought into your program, what can they run fast for 100 meters or 80 meters or 50 meters? And let's get to that maximal speed. And again, I know people can only hold max for 30 or 40 meters, but point being is let's get to there as soon as possible. Okay. And then David asked the question, do you do 5x300 later in the season? Yeah, David, full candor. This is a presentation I use for coaches about these slides with the dark background is from a presentation I used with coaches about 16 months ago. And yeah, younger kids can do 4x300. Older kids can absolutely do 5x300. I think there's an argument to be made that you do the first set is 5x300, and then you do 4x300. Okay, and this is an adjustment, David, that you might want to make at the track. You might come to practice saying we're doing 2x5x300, so we are getting in that 3,000 meters worth of work. First set, they look decent. We take a big rest, and the rests are big. It's like at least 7 or 8 minutes between these sets, could be 10 minutes or more. And then we're really going to hit it. And because we really want to hit it, we're only going to do 4 300s. One final thing that everybody can take away from this. If what we said at the outset of this presentation is that the last 100 meters, the last 100 meters, the last 300 meters, the last 500 meters, that's what we are focused on in May. We want kids to be able to have a great 100-meter kick. We want them to be able to move with 300 to go, backstretch, second curve, home stretch. And I really like them moving with 500 to go. If you have a kid who can move with 500 to go, get into a good position before the bell lap and not have to be moving around and whatnot on the fourth lap on that first curve, be in a good position already. They are going to run faster. So I'm going to die on that hill of we're moving with 500 to go. We're not waiting for the bell lap with 400. Bottom line with this workout, you want them running their fastest rep as their last rep of the day. And within that 300, the reason it's a 300, and if you did the 4 of them here and you started where I told you to start, they'll run backstretch, second curve, home stretch, fast, faster, fastest. Okay. It's so much fun to talk track. I love track. I like cross country. I love track. Okay. I think this is a good time for questions because now we're back to our slide and we're going to talk about our training week. Now we're going to go into kind of the meat of what the track training system is, and you'll get to see you know, if you join me this winter and join the other coaches, you'll get to see how is this organized? What do the videos look like? What do Jeff's trainings videos look like? If I really knew how to do this, I would be able to show it to you on a phone. I would have a tab up here, and this stuff looks really good on a phone. Everybody for free has access to Jeff's warm-up. And if you took the time to be with me this morning, make sure you go to coachjjohnson.com, get Jeff's warm-up, figure out the app. I mean, it's in the email you get. It's the name of the platform is Kajabi. You download the Kajabi app, and now you have Jeff's warm-up on your phone. And I mean, yeah, I'm the dorky dad who's in a parking lot next to a really nice bird preserve place I like to run on, and I'm doing A skips, I'm doing B skips, and I'm looking at the video because I don't have it. You know, I don't know the entire warm up. I will say this: that warm up, I think 13 minutes is accurate. I've been timing myself doing it. It takes me a little bit longer, but I don't know it. I don't know it front to back. And I will do this for you guys. I will time the video with the athletes to see how long it is. Okay, so why don't we take some questions? And I won't take a ton of them now because we have a lot to cover still. How do you like your rest? Walking, shuffling, jogging, standing. So Nick, in between those, let's say we're doing 4x300 with a 200 float, 4x300 with a 200 float. They're going to be so tired after that first set, they're going to want to walk. Absolutely. Do they need to be jogging at some point? Yes. That high level, you know, professional runners do is doing some strides in between. I think for your older athletes, that maybe makes sense too. If younger athletes are walking the whole time, that's fine. I think older athletes are doing a little bit of jogging. How often do you do this workout? Sorry if I missed you saying this. I'm a slow note taker. No worries, man. That's what we're going to get into right now. We don't do it that often. If we did it 3 times per season, that would be good. I can see the argument for doing it 4, and I feel like if you're only doing it 2, that's fine. But here's an important point. And again, if you don't join me with the track training system, no worries. I hope this offers some value. Every workout hurts in a different way, and we do the same workouts. If you buy into the way that I work with athletes, we don't have 100 different workouts. We have about 4 aerobic workouts, and we can tweak them a little bit. But the bottom line is kids need to know how a fartlek hurts. Kids need to know how a long run with strides at the end, which is how I assign long runs, how that hurts. Kids need to know how this workout hurts. If you have an athlete who's going to make the state meet as a senior, you want them doing this workout as sophomores and juniors so they can really dial in going faster on those 300s. And let's say they learn that as a sophomore. Now as a junior and a senior, they can push that float. And for you as the coach, it has a great predictive quality. I didn't go into that, but we will at some point. Dusty, you speak of upperclassmen. My team is 90% freshmen right now. General adjustments. Well, Dusty, I'm so glad you're in the program, and I'm so glad you've been asking questions. Man, you are totally, we're doing 4x300. We're doing 2 sets. We're not even thinking about 5, even though, Dusty, you have access right now to a 50-minute video where I walk through the whole season. You're going to see 5x300. But as I say in the video, that assumes an athlete who is definitely going to make the state meet. This is an important point too. I think there's going to be at least 10 or 12 training plans in this system. And as I've been working on this, like, I love writing training. So if Dusty has freshmen, you know, and he's got freshman girls who have a soccer background, but they don't have a lot of running. And I truly will do this for Dusty because he's been so great in terms of helping me try and refine this. We will write a training plan for your athlete, because that young athlete, I mean, I don't know what size of school you're at, but there's a really good chance I'm not going to make it to the state meet. So now when we said we had 20 or 21 weeks, now we have more of a compressed schedule. And so the question is, you know, what workouts do we take out? What do we keep in? I can tell you right now, we don't do as much aerobic work in the winter because we need to do more specific stuff because, hey, end of April, beginning of May is their last meet. So, but I will answer your if Dusty's got underclassmen, he's doing the track training system. Having underclassmen versus having a team that skews older, there's going to be questions once a week that he asks that I respond to that keep coming back to this fundamental thing. So in this specific one, we're doing 4x300, but there's going to be other adjustments as well. During the cross country season, you mentioned this workout and you emphasized the float. Is that because cross is way more aerobic? That's a great point. These are different workouts. So I'm just not going to go into that now, only because I want to focus on track. The float is race pace. When we're doing 300, 200 in cross country, we're doing 300 cross country race pace, what we can run for 5K. So it's not fast, right? It's just not fast. The 200 float keeps that as a very challenging aerobic workout. It's continuous. We don't break it up into 2 sets of 4x500 or 4x300 or 5x300. It's one long workout. When this guy Brent Vaughn won the U.S. Cross Country Championship, when I was pretty sure he would win, and that's one of the coolest things about coaching professionals, as an aside, when they're ready to go, they're ready to go because it's just so dialed in and it's great. But he did 20x300 with a 200 float. So he did 10,000 meters worth of work, and he was just crushing those floats. And it was a 10,000 meter workout at 5,000 feet in Boulder. I had to shovel 500 meters. Did I shovel 500 meters? Yeah, I had to shovel 500 meters for him to be able to do that. And it was just the two of us out there on the snow-covered turf field. It's like 3 soccer fields line up, and it's kind of bent like this, so it looks like a kidney bean. And you run out here, then you do your 200, then you run your 300. But the bottom line is, to be absolutely clear, and this would apply to any workout, in track, we have to run race pace, and we have to be able to speed up off of our goal pace. And then if we need to take a ton of rest, so if the float became a jog in the workout I just described, Nick, that's fine. If floats become jogs in track, that's fine. If we fast forward to cross country, floats need to be floats. Okay. Andrea, do you train your 8, 16, 30, 200 meter athletes with similar workouts tweaked? That's a great question. I'm hesitating because I don't know if I want to answer that now. Yeah, so I'll answer that now. Now we're going to talk about the track training system. If you sign up today, you're going to have a 50-minute video. There's a lot of content. I mean, if you signed up today, you would have solidly like 6 hours. If you really took time with Jeff's videos too and really studied them, you'd have 4 to 5 hours where it would take you 4 to 5 to 6 hours to dive into stuff. And it's already, 3 or 4 or 5 hours of content. I don't have the 3,200 meter workouts in there. I don't have the 800 meter workouts in there. The 800s are different, and they're quite a bit different. But I would argue that the 1,600 meter training plan that's in there, we only need a couple workouts at 3,200 meter rhythm, right? If you do this program, I'm going to encourage you to have most kids focus on the 1,600. Now, through this back and forth, through messages and whatnot, you can say, hey, I've got Susie Q and Joe Blow, and they are really good at cross country. And, we ran an all-out 200 last year, and they were horrible. And then every time they've been on the 4x4, they've been horrible. Like, they truly are that 3,200 meter runner. Then we will definitely have a separate plan. But I think what we do, I think we do kids a disservice. I have a 7th grade daughter. If a really good high school coach put her in the 3,200 as a freshman and didn't put her in a lot of 800s and 4x4s, I would be mad. Okay. I would have I'm probably not going to have a conversation with my daughter's coach ever, but I would have to have that conversation, because for her long-term development as a freshman, she needs to be on the 4x4. She needs to be running the 800 and make the 1,600 those first couple of years her primary event. Think about it all the time. There's all these famous runners who were 800 meter runners and 1,600 meter runners in high school who become amazing collegiate athletes and professionals at 5,000 meters. Okay. So we could always move kids up. But the bottom line is the 800 meter plans are totally different, and we'll have a plan for the quote wired kid. This is a little bit, I try not to have pet peeves in life. But unfortunately this might be one. Everybody says, well, I've got the true 400, 800 kid. they exist, right? That wired kid that's fast, that, you know, isn't going to help you much in cross country and can be on your, who can run a good 200 as well. But if we have a bell curve of 40 athletes on your team, you've got 1 or 2 of those at most. You got a ton of kids who should focus on the 1600. And I would argue you only have 2 or 3 or maybe 4 kids who should just focus on the 3200 because they really can't run well at 1600 meters. And if I'm not making this point, it's this. Over a 4-year career for a high school kid, if there's focus on the 1600, the freshman and the sophomore year, they're going to run faster at 3200 meters as a senior by really running the 1600 well those first couple of years. Okay, can you modify to indoor and transition to outdoor? Oh, this is such a great question. This is like, Jay, why aren't you talking about indoor? I don't value indoor the same way I do outdoor. If you're in a state where indoors is so here would be a reason why you should value indoor. If you're in a place where the weather's going to be horrible in March and April, and it only starts to get decent in May, but the great thing about an indoor season is now you've got several months where you can go indoors. You never have to worry about weather, and kids can run fast. We want kids running fast. Running fast is fun. We want this to be fun. We want them to run PRs. And if you're in a place where you can do that in indoors, absolutely. But if you take a step back and you're going to tell me, hey, I've got a kid who can crush all 3 seasons. They can run amazing in cross country. They can run at the regional Foot Locker meet. And then we're going to do our first indoor meet December 15th. And then they're going to be crushing it at the end of February. And then they're definitely going to run well at the end of May. And then they're going to go to the Brooks PR meet in June and run fast. Here's the deal. Professional runners don't try and do that. There's a density sometimes to a high school training schedule that is unrealistic for high school kids. So we want some waves, right? We want to go hard in cross country. If they just went hard the last 2 or 3 weeks, we need to be chilling for a while. And I'll talk about this. And again, like we're an hour. I thought we'd be further along an hour, but this is great. In a moment, we'll look at the schedule, and there's 2 indoor meets in there. In our state now, this is different than it was 10 years ago. Pretty much every weekend, a high school kid could run an indoor meet in the state of Colorado, but there isn't a state championship, and it's not as important. And some of them are at 6,000 feet, right? They're in Colorado Springs, where a kid in Denver's at 5,000 feet, and like nobody does the math. If you're a 520 girl in Denver and you go up to 6,000 feet, even if you're in 520 shape, I mean, that conversion's, it's at least 523. It might be like 526. And if you go out too hard at the first 1,000, you will blow up horribly. When you did this, if you're watching this, you'll probably enjoy this little tidbit about altitude. If you dig yourself a hole in a 1,600 meters at altitude, it takes so long to there is no coming back from that, right? So you have to be really conservative. Okay. We're going to move on. Take a sip of water. 9:02, a time that would have been the fastest time in the 90s for 3,200, and now probably doesn't even get you into the fast heat of Arcadia. Okay, here we go. Training week. Oh, training week. This is where I'm supposed to do something different with stop screen share. And we're going to do this. And thanks for giving me some grace here for a moment so I can figure out the technology. Now what we're going to look at is the training calendar. And okay, here we go. Where are we? Okay, so we're going to start here. This is your basic training calendar. This is the weeks to state, obviously the days of the week 20 to state. So the Colorado, and then here's what we're doing. All we have is winter break, and we have the start of official practice, and we have spring break. So this is what I've written for people. And then I don't even have it here. I don't have the meets yet, but then let's add the meets. Okay, so we got winter break. I'm choosing an indoor meet on a Sunday. I'm choosing an indoor meet on a Saturday. This is just to keep things fun. There's tons of them. There's one every week. Now we've got official practice. I put the JV meets in here because you as the coach might not be able to be with your team the way you want to. There's a relay meet. So now we got the meets. We got spring break, we got league, we got state. Okay, now let's make them color. If it's green, it's an indoor meet. And initially when I was writing this, there was an indoor meet, there wasn't an indoor meet here, but what I want you to think about with this first hard workout, the official week of practice, is we're going really hard. And I want them to start practice and kind of feel like, oh my gosh, here, we'll go back for a second. Let's be clear. Everything I'm sharing is for a kid who's a lock to run at the state championship. I mean, unless they get injured, they're going to run at the state championship. So this whole thing is kind of moved down, and there's more aerobic work at the top. There's going to be some kids that wouldn't crush a hard workout the first official week of practice. This athlete is. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. And at the end of this, I'll say, hey, in the track training system, we're going to have a dozen different, 20 to 24 week plans. Well, when we go to Dusty's kids, we're going to have a different plan for Dusty's kids, and we're going to move things up. We're going to lower the volume on some of it. Sometimes we're going to spread things out, and we're going to put more meets in. What I'm about to show you now is kids who can handle a lot of hard training, and they can race a little bit less. Chris, this is the 1600 meters. Yeah. And so I'm going to talk about what workouts they do. So they run an 800 here. They run a 1600 here. They do a killer workout. I'll explain what it is. Relay meet. I should have put it in here. They're going to run an 800 and 4x4. And then these are the pink ones. These are the keys. We're going to go 1500, or excuse me, 1600. If it was, oh, I got to make it bigger. Sorry. Let's go through that. Relay meet, I didn't put it in here. It's in the one in a moment. 800 here, 1600. You'll see what we might do here. 1600, this is their first chance where we are going fast, fast, fast. Legs will be, we'll get their legs ready in this part. This could go either way. This is probably going to be a 1600, but if they crushed it here and they really want an 800, we'll go 800 here. I really think this should be 1600. This is 1600 meter runner. Now there's meets here. There's meets here and here. There's other meets you could get them into during the week, but we're essentially doing this. We're going hard, hard, then we're not racing. We're going hard, hard, then we're not racing for a week. We're going hard, hard, then we're not racing for a week. Then we're doubling at league. This is killer. And then we're probably not doubling at state, but we can talk about that. So I'm going to move this up a little bit. And now we talk about our goals. Now, I mean, to be absolutely clear, we're not going into as much detail with this as I do with the people in the program, because if you join the track training system, this is what I'm going to teach. But, for this 800, we're conservative. For 400, for this 1600, we're conservative. This hard workout, this should hurt. This meet, it's going to be fun. This one, we might, the 1600 on tired legs, because we're probably going to do an 800 meter killer kind of time trial-y workout here. This is a PR opportunity. This is a PR opportunity. This is a PR opportunity. Fresh legs are a must, right? And again, at the very outset, we talked about the fact that we don't train through races. Execute the race plan here. Man, this is such a great opportunity to practice some race skills for state. If they're in, I mean, you can do some weird stuff there, right? If you're in a weak league, you can have them go out hard the first 100, 150 and slow it down, right? And slow it down because you think they have a really good shot to win and they can crush that last 500. How cool would that be the week before the state meet to play around with pace a little bit? If you also feel like, hey, I mean, at our state meet, I was fortunate enough to be there. Fast forward to the Boulder Running Clinics in January. Coach Jonathan Dalby will be presenting a case study of this young man, Harrison Witt, who broke our all classification state records in the 1600 and the 800, 404.36 and 148.5. Those are big boy times. And in the 800, he went out in 52.6. Right? He went out super hard. So at this league meet, one of the things we'll talk about in the training is that, you can practice something here based on your league that you'll have to do at the state meet. One little thing here, I'll talk about why you really need to be thoughtful and mindful of how many if you put them on the 4x8, your 4x8's better. But if you keep them off 4x8, they probably run 1,600 meters faster here. And then I should say one thing too. I really like this calendar, the way it's laid out here. But this is ideal. Like, I made this easy for me. There's no bad weather. Nobody's getting injured. Nobody's getting sick, all these things. And so, if you're part of the track training system, we make these adjustments during the year, right? But it's nice and clean. Okay, so now this is the fun part. At least if you're a track geek like me and you like to look at training. Okay, so let's go through this piece by piece. We got the TEO, we got the aerobic workouts. Then these are faster goal pace workouts. These are, they're medium-ish, although I hate the idea of medium, but these are medium-ish in the winter. And then these are fun, fast, medium-ish. Meets we've already talked about. So, hey, in the winter, we're going 3 days a week. We're going 2.5. I don't have that over here. But TEO is hard, fartlek, long run. Progression run, long run. Fartlek, long run. Progression run, long run. And then now we're switching. Our first 2 fartleks were 2-3. Now we're switching to 3-2. These are easy days with strides, no different than Monday and Wednesday and Friday were, but it's hard post-run work. And as I'll show you in a moment, that stuff takes a while. And then, honestly, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail right now, because this is, if you join the system, this is what you get. You get all these workouts. And one of the things I'll talk about, I'll share a little video, but why on the first official day of practice, what is our mindset if when we start here, what's our mindset here, and why are we doing a hard workout here? Why might we do this 800 meter killer time trial thing before 1,600 meters here? What's the rationale? All that good stuff. So, okay, now we're going to go a little faster. My apologies for saying all the time. So they don't double before league. I love that Eva's on here. Eva, this is great. I had the pleasure of working with Eva's son this summer, Ryan. He's a fantastic young man. Eva's a coach, and Ryan's summer went so well, and his first few weeks of cross country went so well that she asked me to help them. She's his coach, and I don't coach athletes during the competitive season, but this was one of the fun and unique opportunities where I could coach the coach, in this case, Eva, the mom, who's coaching Ryan. And fast forward, he has a good cross-country season. And when we do kind of, what's that term? Your post-season analysis, but there's a post-mortem, right? When you're doing the post-mortem on it, we said, hey, what are the things we could have done better? What are the things we could have changed? Eva, we need to race less with Ryan, I think, at that part of the year, and really have him racing fast. But then the flip side is, you might say to me, in the history of our school, we have never won the league track championship, and it's important in our town, and it's super important to the AD, so much so that he said, if we can win the league meet, we're getting a new pole vault pit, right? I mean, there's a million reasons that I'm giving. This is my simple version with colors and the thing that would be ideal. And there is less racing here than a lot of people might expect. And I'll be honest, Eva, Ryan's probably 1 notch, maybe 2 notches away from somebody who's probably running as fast and training as much volume as I'm making the assumption here. So this is somebody that, for a lot of the people who join the track training system, we're going to do less volume than is in here. I will share this really quick. If you're in here and you're like, well, he didn't say how long these runs were, right? He didn't say like how long the fartlek, how long the long run, how long these things are. What I do is I give you a progression of that work. But when we get in here, like we talked about, this might be 5x300 or 4x300, but for most kids, it's 500. A lot of kids will do the same amount of 200s, 150s, 100s. Everybody's doing the 800, 700, 700, except maybe a freshman. But your sophomore and your senior, the amount of volume we're doing for these hard workouts is the same. Okay. Chris, exit interview. Yes. Okay. So now let's go into this. We're going to stop sharing that screen. So this might, this should look pretty clean, but okay, let's share this. So this is a video now. Actually, I can do it this way. All right, now we're into the track training system, right? And this is what you'll see when you log in here. So you got to watch this 10-minute welcome video. You got to watch this video about why we're focusing on the last 100. I would argue that, I mean, everybody wants to hop into the training, which we'll do in a moment. I would argue that it might make more sense to go into Jeff's videos. But if we go into this right now, this is the video. If you click here, okay, but to not make it as hard as a threshold run. Okay, first official day of practice. You're going to teach the pre-race to everybody. Now you're saying, wait, we've already done this. We did it here, and we did it here, and we did it before this one, and we did pre-race here. So they've done it 4 times. But here's the deal. Have the older kids teach the younger kids. Everybody's excited. The goal, you know, when it talks about goals and whatnot, this is the first week. Everybody's excited. If this workout goes well, the entire week is a win. So we're keeping this really light. Okay, so that's an example of when you sign up for the program, this is what it's going to look like on your side. You're going to have there's a 50-minute video where we go line by line, and I'm also going to then take out 2, 3, 4 week chunks. I mean, based on where we are in the season. So where we saw that, I think it's a nice color, that teal. Those first 5 weeks we're doing the aerobic workouts. There'll be a shorter video, probably 10 minutes, might be a little longer, about what we're doing in that chunk. Then we'll look at, you know, the first 4 weeks of official track practice. It'll be the first 3 weeks actually to that first important meet. So we'll pull out those, but that 50-minute video goes over the entire thing. What you also have, and I think I can show you this here, is then you print this out. This is that document in a nice PDF, and we'll see if we can pull that up here. And then this is the document, right? So then you print this out in color. I'm going to reformat this. This would drive me crazy. I couldn't figure out how to put the last 2 weeks down here, but I'll get that figured out. All right. So then some other things. If we go back to, let's make sure I'm on the full screen. If we go back to category, let's just go to the track training system. And I really think you should be watching Jeff's warm-up, which you have for free. His cool down is great. Mini band's great. Let's look at self-therapy.
Back is 1, and we're looking for 5 to 10 movements in one spot. And after we get that, we're just going to...
Okay, what I want to make a point of here is that this is a different way than almost everybody is using a foam roller. And this is not to say that you're part of this system just so you can use a foam roller differently. But when it says self-therapy here, man, this is a powerful video. This is 20 minutes, 17, 20 minutes. To me, it's the warm-up, the cool down, the self-therapy that are great. And then let's really quick go to isometric holds.
Next activity we're going to do are isometric holds. So we're going to, Maddie's going to get in a particular position and contract her muscles. So you won't be a little hard to see that because it's not, you can't feel it on the video. But so you're just going to have to believe us on the other end that Maddie's actually engaging.
So what that is he'll explain it, but rather than go to the weight room, they're doing these isometric holds, and that's really powerful stuff too. So the bottom line is you watch all of Jeff's videos. You can do that on your phone, and then you have these progressions that have all his stuff. I put my videos beneath it. This is, things you can find on YouTube, but here's the key point. So we go to the red progression, and then we have all of our progressions here, and then we open the red progression. And then we look at it here, and we're doing just leg swings, and we're doing mini bands, and they're doing general strength. This is the easy day. And then this is pre-run. This is post-run. Red progression is the easiest. Okay. So Oh, I think you're struggling to see that. Let's see here. My apologies, a little bit of technical stuff here. Okay, so now you can see these progressions: red, orange, yellow, green short, green long. So if we click on the red progression, then you have this stuff in here. You download it. And I don't know how to show you what they look like right now, but it's basically these long sheets. Each one gets a little bit longer. Every kid in your program can start with red. If you're serious enough to be with me this morning, probably most of your kids are doing some general strength and they can do orange. Yellow gets a lot longer and is harder, and green, there's a short and a long. Short would be what you do after a workout in the winter on a school day, because we need to keep it short. Long is what a lot of the kids that I'm working with this winter are doing on the weekends, whether it's a Saturday or Sunday long run. Okay, so I think that gives you a good idea of what's on, of what you get access to. Here's the bottom line. There'll be the fundamental plan, and then there'll be all the different actual trainings here. And then one final thing I want to highlight is this consistency is key coaches presentation is something I did about a year ago, but you either need to have my book or you need to watch this. And if you don't have the book, I'm going to send you a book if you join the track training system. And then these are just short videos. This is me after a run where it's like, oh my gosh, I need to share this about we're building the chassis this winter, and it's going to allow us to run more volume. And so this is just, what is this, 5 minutes? Yeah, this is a 5-minute video that, and then what happens is when these things are added, every time this is added here, you get a notification about things. Okay. So, all right, we'll take some questions shortly. I'm going to go back to sharing this. Man, I really appreciate you guys being with me this long. I didn't expect it to be this long, and I hope you found some good value in it. Okay, here are our common training mistakes, all right? We keep the long run in longer than it should be, and we talked about that already. Another big one we do is we fail to prioritize fresh legs the week of big races. That's one of the things we'll definitely go through. And that goes kind of to Eva's point. Like there's going to be times earlier in the training where we're going to take an extra day in between a hard workout and a race to make sure their legs are fresh. And then, calling it a day when you can't run fast at the end of the workout. I mean, this is something that we're only going to have to do 1 or 2 or 3 times during the season, but your kids need to know that you'll shut them down if they're not able to change gears. And then the bottom line is we really need to keep kids undertrained and fired up rather than redlining it, which is their maximum ability to train. Okay. I got this interesting text. Not text. I got a message, and I was explaining to a young coach, hey, this might be something you're interested in. And he said, well, I'm not going to be outsourcing the training. And I never thought of it that way. Here's the deal. This person's roughly 24. When I was 24, I was dying to be a good coach. And at that time I was getting VHS tapes, and I was going, to USATF. I was doing USATF level 1, level 2. I did level 2 sprints. Like I was becoming a better coach. And I understand why he wouldn't want this course. And why wouldn't I have wanted it? Because I wanted to be Brad Pitt. I wanted to be like Brad Pitt from The River Runs Through It, where he does that funky casting to become, the most, just this amazing fly fisherman in Montana. But if you go back to what Brad Pitt had, he had tons of reps before he created something creative that was different. Okay. And I'd like to highlight this. If you join me, if you do the track training system, you're going to get the training written for you, and you can focus on this. You can focus on the kids. You can focus on the movement. You can focus on their nonverbal cues, and you can focus on, hey, what do we need to do mid-May? You can keep mid-May in mind and know that what you're going to do each day between now and mid-May is written for you in a system that's going to work. And this is what that athlete, this is what that person who's saying, well, I don't want to outsource training. When they say outsource training, I would argue that doing it this way is a more mature way to go about training as a young coach. Now, I want to be honest about one other thing. If you're, and this isn't in the slides, I just need to show this. People who master their craft have a mentor. And I didn't get this in the slides because I didn't think about the biggest problem when this, young coach is like, well, I'm not going to outsource training. Yeah, but they probably didn't have Mark Wetmore as their college coach. So when I'm experimenting with things like post-run work, when I'm doing things in the weight room, when I'm doing things with speed development, I have a foundation of long runs and developing the aerobic metabolism and knowing how that works over 52 weeks. Okay. And I would say the biggest reason to join me is you have me as your mentor. And I've been coaching for 20 years and this stuff works. Okay. Now, do we need to tweak some things where you're going to have to adjust these various training plans for your system? Yes. Am I going to be able to write a different training plan for every athlete? No. And I'm probably not going to even be able to write a unique plan for every coach who's part of this, but we'll have so many plans that you'll be able to figure out what you need to do. More importantly, you'll know the principles that are important to have a great season. Okay. So then we will soon take some questions. But yeah, I thought that was useful. Like, he doesn't want to outsource training. And I also think he hasn't had a mentor, and I don't think his kids are going to run as fast as early. And I don't think his program is going to make the jump that it could make if you were to do something like this. All right. Oh, and I love this, RC. It is like jazz. You know all the scales, and now you can riff. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up. I want you to think of what April can look like. And in April and mid-April, your kids are getting ready to PR, but you're a little bit tired in the season. You might have an assistant coach who's, a throws coach or a jumps coach or a sprints coach that's driving you crazy, and things are hard. And what I want to be able to help you do then is have the confidence that the workouts you're doing are going to work. You and I will work together. I've got the experience to be able to help you then. Okay. So if we look at what you can get today, you can get the track training system for $395, and it's typically $495. So all the things on the left side of the screen, that's what's on the website now. And we've got it on sale today and the next, essentially, from now until Monday night. But the bottom line is it's worth $495, if not more. And I want people to have this experience today. So that's why we're offering it for $395. And then you'll also get the videos that I'll be selling after the Boulder Running Clinics. The clinic is mid-January. This takes us anywhere from a week to 10 days to have those. Okay. Obviously, you get all the training plans. We'll have plans for 800 meters, 1,600 meters, 3,200 meters. You'll get the video library with all of Jeff's stuff. I should also highlight we'll be adding med ball throws, hurdle mobility, and multi-jump circuits. You'll get the rationale behind all the workouts in videos. And then we'll do monthly webinars, December through May. We'll have one the week after Christmas, and then we'll be doing a monthly. But we'll also have the back and forth where when you share things in the comments below the various videos, I can create new videos as well. And then I'll be updating articles throughout the season. So the progression of strides, the one you have today is going to get you through the middle of January, but then you'll have a new progression of strides. This will be for everybody. Even your wired 800 meter kid will have their progression of strides as well. Yeah, I just want to be honest that, hey, if I was a young coach, I would say, wow, I really want to write my own training. But now as a middle-aged adult who's super busy, who's got kids, and realizes that, hey, the way I'm going to have a fantastic program, your program is going to get better because of the culture you build, the relationships you have with kids, and you need to be able to see all these nonverbal cues during the course of the year. I would say the track training system, obviously it's going to educate you, and obviously it's going to give you training, but it's going to free you up to do that type of coaching. Everybody wants to talk about the art of coaching. I want to argue strongly that the art of coaching comes from, reading people, working with kids, and adjusting training and learning how to subtract things from training. Okay, that's where the art of coaching comes in. All right, so the bottom line is, man, I say bottom line too much. I've got to get that out of my vocabulary. If you enroll today, it's $185, and Monday night, late Monday night, it goes back to $495. So if you're interested, there's two things. If you're still on the webinar page where you joined, you just scroll down, and you probably can't see it just right away, but scroll just a little bit down. There's an orange button that says enroll, and I'll also put it here. Okay, so this link will take you to the track training system. The other thing you can do too is I'm gonna, if you just go to coachjjohnson.com and enroll there. Oh, I do want to show you this. I want to show you that when you sign up, there's no coupon code right now. There's just, you don't have to put in a coupon code. It'll say, do you want to put on a coupon code? You don't use that. The price is just $395, if that makes sense, right? So see how it says $395 there? And it says coupon beneath there. There is no coupon code. The price is $395. I changed the price after the sale on Monday night. So there's nothing you need to do in terms of a code. And again, this goes over what you get. And yeah, it's all ready today. So now we will take questions. Man, an hour 30. I really appreciate you being with me this long. And I hope you've got value. If you're not going to do the track training system, I hope you got some value. And obviously, I hope you do want to do the track training system. So why don't we take questions mostly on the system now? And then I will be doing some YouTube lives going into January. It's a really busy end of December. We're doing a virtual camp for the Boulder running camps. And if you're on my email list, I'll explain how, man, your kids, at least your best 3 or 4 kids, need Jeff's videos. And being part of the virtual camp is only going to be $40, but they get Jeff's videos. So if you enroll in the track training system, you've got all Jeff's videos. You want to teach kids the cool down or the isometric holds. You only need 3 or 4 kids to sign up for the virtual camp. And that camp's a lot of fun. But the point is, I would say the most valuable thing is being able to pull your phone out and being able to have those kids watch those videos on their phone. Okay. Carol, for those already enrolled, when do we get access? Yeah, Carol, you have access now, and I will email you some specifics. But basically, you go to coachjjohnson.com. Why don't we do this? This is how it looks. So when you go to the website, what you want to do is log in here. And when you click login, you have an email. Now we give you a quote dummy password that you can change. So when you email and log in, then what it looks like is, let's see if I can do mine. Okay, well, it's not going to work for me. It'll work for you. But the bottom line is, I feel like there's certain things that are really powerful on your phone, certain things that are on your desktop. You're going to want to watch all the videos like this on your desktop, maybe on a tablet or desktop computer or laptop. And then you're going to want to use all Jeff's training videos at the track. And then some of my short videos. So you have an app, and I explain this when you sign up. You download the Kajabi app, put that app on your phone. You have access. It says Coach Jay Johnson. Click on that, you log in, and then you can watch those short videos on there too. Okay. And then I don't have time to do this in the next couple weeks. A lot of these things you don't have to watch. So like those short videos, you can listen to those like a podcast, and I'm able to rip out the audio, put that audio file in part of, underneath where that video is, just have an audio. And then you can listen to the audio just like you would a podcast, making dinner. I mean, that's always when I'm doing stuff, is making my kids dinner and listening to things. All right. So Chris, it said it took me some time to figure that out as well. Hey, you know what it sounds like is I need to do a video, and I might have my assistant help me with this too. You know, what does it look like from the back end? So I will definitely do a screencast and do a video and email that to everybody to figure out how to hop into it. What date is the winter break virtual camp? Great question. Wednesday to Friday. These are the first 2 days. December, or the first 3 days, December 29th to 31st. And I mean, full candor, I'm just scrambling with a lot of things. So the information isn't up for the Boulder running camps today. For the virtual camp, we have the dates for the in-person camp if you're interested in that. I've got all that stuff. Got one more speaker to line up, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Kids who are really into running are really into that. So okay, what questions do you have? Do you have questions about any of the content or questions about how the training system? Oh, I need to go back and read some of these. I've been coaching 30 years and still have mentors. Couldn't do it without them. Yeah. That's funny. Or you are the assistant who drives the head coach insane. That's funny. All right. Yeah. Well, if people don't have questions, then I will get to work and post this for the people that weren't able to join us live. But I really appreciate your attention. I really appreciate the people who are already in the course. I sent an email last night about the stuff that's uploaded. Over the next 48 hours, there'll be even more things. There'll be more of the individual training plans for different types of kids. And you know, this is an interesting time where it's a really good time for you to dive into this, to do the education, to take some time. And I really encourage you, even if you don't do the course, watch Jeff's warm up and learn from Jeff. But if you do watch Jeff's warm up, you'll see that, man, this guy's a great teacher and I can learn so much from his videos. That's the type of stuff you want to do now. So when you meet your kids, what is it? Monday's January 3rd. When you meet your kids that first week of January, you're able to teach them those things. Robin, thanks for staying on this whole time. I appreciate it. Sarah, full candor. I have like 35 kids for distance and track, and maybe a handful have a shot at state. This can still benefit. Oh yeah, Sarah, I should have made that point. This can benefit all of them. Okay. So, and you could argue I maybe should have gone about this a little different when I'm sharing it. I could have written a schedule for that 25th kid who isn't necessarily going to be able to run at the league track championships, but is serious. They're a freshman and they're really fired up. Why don't we go back and I'll just show you really quick what that looks like. So essentially what we do here in that one is we have all these weeks where it's teal and yellow, teal and yellow, teal and yellow. And this is December, January, January. Now, we run an indoor meet. Maybe you're in Iowa. Maybe you don't do that. One hard thing, one fast thing. But again, we're going all the way down to May. If your athlete is ending in April, you know, mid-April to late April, what we do is we move all this up. So what gets taken out? This stuff gets taken out, right? We're going to take out 3 weeks here, maybe 4 weeks. And if you're saying, wait, don't they need to build the aerobic engine? Jay, I read consistency is key. They need to build the aerobic engine. They do, but they still get to do this one and this one. And they do all this stuff in here. I think, real quick, a mistake I often made with athletes, and a mistake sometimes I still make, is not letting them race enough when they're young and to really learn those skills. So I'm so glad you asked this. This is a great way to end potentially, is we end on this note that you saw one training plan. I think there's going to be at least a dozen. I mean, somewhere between 10 and 12, and they will address, I mean, Sarah, you need 5 different training plans or 8 different training plans, but you're going to have, from me, 3 or 4 or 5. That's almost exactly what you can copy. You just have to move things up a little bit, and then you have to play with your meet schedule. And Sarah, I'm going to say this now publicly. I'm definitely going to do one plan for you. So, and I'm going to try to do this for a lot of the people who signed up early, is you're going to fill out a form and you're going to tell me, here is Susie Q. Susie Q is the hardest working girl on the team. She's actually not the best girl, and she could be the best girl, but I want to plan just for her. And I want you to take our meet schedule, and you have to do some work as part of this. You have to use my Google Doc and fill it out exactly the way I want to see it. And then I'll put these workouts in there for you. Okay. So, all right. Yeah. And obviously I hope you're joining the track training system. I will send another follow-up email, maybe to, just to remind you that, hey, this is only on sale, through Monday night. And then obviously, there's breaks with kids and families and holidays and whatnot. And yet, if you are invested enough to be here this morning, you're definitely somebody who wants to see kids run fast in April and May. And at the end of the day, this is what this program will do. So bottom line is, I always appreciate your attention and time. And if you need to email me, I'm going to put my email in here real quick. So it's always j@coachjjohnson.com. I'm also going to put in here, you get a lot of, when you're in this program, the emails come from info@coachjjohnson.com. So make sure you have both of those whitelisted, and in this program, all of the communication comes that way. So Marianne, this is exactly what I've been needing for my group. Oh, Marianne, I'm so glad that you're going to do it. Coach Sessa, see you at the clinic. Oh man, I haven't seen you in a long time. And here's the deal. Coach Sessa doesn't need this, right? I mean, he's coached a team that had the national record in the 4x8 indoors, right? He absolutely doesn't need this. I think if you're just honest about where you are and your coaching, this might be something that fits you really well. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone. And I appreciate you sticking around, and hopefully I can be of service when we're in the track training system together. All right. Bye-bye.